Welcome back to the deep dive. So if you've been on this journey with us, you've done the internal work, you've made that crucial shift in identity,
Right.
and you've defined your objective, that measurable target for financial independence. But there's this huge canyon between a destination and actually getting there.
There really is.
Hmm.
And, our sources for this deep dive point out the most common place people fail.
Which is what?
They get stuck in the visualization phase.
Yes.
They hope that by creating this really powerful vision or just imagining success, that somehow reality will just happen.
The idea that the vision is enough on its own.
It's the flaw of the dream, really. Look, a vision is absolutely necessary. It's the power that shapes the future you want.
Of course.
But the research is.
Yeah.
It's just unequivocal. Success isn't about luck or imagination. A vision without a structured, decisive action plan is, at best, a nice daydream.
Okay, so let's unpack that. We have the identity, the asset owner, the architect. We have the destination of that FI number. So our mission today is to stop hoping and start designing. We need to build the actual bridge, the plan that connects who you are right now to where you want to be.
That is the mission. And just as a quick essential context check for everyone listening,
Please.
we're assuming you've completed that internal shift to the asset owner identity. That was step 1. And that you've already defined your measurable FI target and safety buffer.
Yeah.
Step 2.
We are strictly moving forward.
Strictly. We are not going back to the number. We're not revisiting the calculation.
The numbers are set. So we're moving from the value-driven why to the practical sequence-driven how.
Exactly.
The question is, how do you translate that really personal, maybe even beautiful vision into a step-by-step plan that you can actually execute on?
We shift our mindset. We go from being the philosopher to being the engineer.
Okay.
If the asset owner's job is to create reality through conscious intention, well, they need a structure. And the texts lay out a fundamental 5-step process for this. It's designed to decompose that huge abstract vision into a tangible blueprint.
All right, lay out that architecture for us. And, maybe tell us why each step is so critical and where things usually break down.
Okay, so step 1 is, of course, the vision.
The big picture.
Yeah, the image of your desired financial future, and just as important, the identity of the person who actually lives that life. It's conceptual, it's aspirational.
Got it. The ultimate goal, framed in freedom, time, that sort of thing.
Then, step 2, you define your goals. Some people call them missions.
Okay.
These are the broad objectives that directly support that vision. Think of them like foundational pillars. Establishing a secure financial foundation, something like that.
Or building multiple income streams.
Exactly. They're still large, but they give you a direction.
Now, here's where I suspect the chasm is. Most people probably stop right there at step 2. They have the goals, but they never act.
That's it. And that leads to the most essential bridge, which is step 3, measurable objectives.
The bridge.
This is the conversion point. This is where the inspiration of the goal gets translated into specific, measurable terms of quantity and time.
Why are quantity and time so important? I mean, why isn't a goal like save more good enough?
Because we confuse activity with progress. A vague goal like save more lets you off the hook.
Right.
But a measurable objective like achieve a net savings rate of 25% within the next 9 months that forces accountability.
Mm-hmm.
You can audit it. You know exactly what you need to do each month, and you know when you've missed the mark.
It's where dreams are forced to confront the calendar.
That's a great way to put it. It turns a feeling into a directive. You go from wishing to working.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So once you have those precise objectives, step 4 is the action plan.
The how.
The how. Deducing the specific sequenced activities, the resources you need, and the clear timeline required to hit those objectives. This is your project schedule, broken down into weeks and months.
And finally, step 5, which is the whole point.
Decisive action. The execution of the plan itself. Because without that last step, the first 4 are just. They're mental exercises. Now, there's one more piece to this, a really fundamental requirement.
What's that?
The research strongly, and I mean strongly, advises that goals and objectives must be written down, preferably by hand.
By hand. Why the physical act? Does the medium really matter that much?
The intention here is neurological. By manually writing it, you commit the abstract idea to your subconscious. It connects the creative inspiration of the vision to the rigid clarity of the action plan.
It's a commitment signal.
It's a commitment signal.
Yeah.
You're taking the intellectual architecture and grounding it in physical reality.
That's fascinating. So it's less about just being organized and more about psychological buy-in.
It is.
This whole sequence, vision to objectives to action, it really does feel like an engineering process. It demands structure, not just hope.
It really does.
Yeah.
And to make this a bit more tangible for you, let's walk through the conceptual example from the source material. We'll focus purely on the flow, not specific numbers.
Great. So let's say the asset owner's core vision is calm, balanced financial freedom. Not just being rich, but, choosing how you spend your time, no dependence on the salary, income from multiple places.
Yeah, a solid vision. So from that, we derive 3 supporting goals that will define their early mission. Goal 1, create a sufficient financial reserve. For instance, an emergency fund covering 12 months of expenses.
That's a defensive goal, setting the foundation.
Exactly. Goal 2, build multiple sources of passive or semi-passive income.
The offensive goal, growth.
And goal 3, change consumption habits to consistently live below your income. That's the operation goal, efficiency.
Okay, defense, offense, and operation. So the action plan has to take those goals and spread the work out over time. The sequencing must be critical here.
It's everything. The plan has to be deliberate, phased. You move from the easiest, most controllable tasks outward.
Okay, let's look at phase 1. If the focus is on the operational goal living below your income and building that reserve, what are the first couple of months all about?
So phase 1, months 1 and 2, has to be about foundational tasks. Strictly. Things derived from your budgeting and expense goals.
Like what?
This means tackling any high-interest debt, opening and funding that dedicated emergency account, and, critically, conducting a detailed expense survey.
Not just looking at expenses, but really analyzing them.
Precisely. The goal here is just to gather data so you can build a conscious, optimized budget. For a more advanced learner, this might also mean analyzing tax efficiency. Are you maximizing your tax-advantaged accounts before you even think about taxable investing?
That makes perfect sense. You can't plan your offense until you know your defensive limits. So once that foundation is solid, how do we move into phase 2, the part that activates the learning for passive income?
And that transition is often the hardest, because it means moving capital out of safety and into calculated risk.
Okay, so phase 2, months 3 to 5, the focus shifts to education and initial execution.
Right. This is where you define specific learning topics, say researching 3 different asset classes. And then you take a small, contained, very clear first step.
Like what, for example?
It could be opening a small investment portfolio with just a nominal amount of capital. Or maybe dedicating 1 evening a week to developing a little service-based side hustle idea.
The key being that the action is contained.
Yes. You're gathering real-world data without risking the reserves you just built. The goal here is not profit, it's competence. You are learning the language of the market, the mechanics of earning income outside a salary.
And I see now that the action plan itself forces you to block out specific time for this learning. It prevents that trap of saying, oh, I'll learn about investing someday.
It mandates the allocation of time just as clearly as it mandates the allocation of capital. And that just prepares the ground for the expansion phase.
Which is phase 3, month 6, and beyond. This is where you pivot to execution and scaling.
That's it. With the foundation set and the initial learning done, the focus shifts to actively seeking specific opportunities, creating that additional income stream, gradually increasing your investment rate, building momentum towards that FI target.
What this whole process really reveals is how the vision goes from this generalized feeling of, I want freedom, to a working document with phases, with deadlines.
The blueprint is now clear. Real financial change is built from the sum of all these daily, consistent steps. It's not one big miraculous event.
Which brings us to the principles of execution. Because a plan is great on paper, but, construction sites are messy. What are the key mindsets to make sure the plan doesn't just fall apart when reality hits?
Principle 1 addresses the most common form of paralysis: consistency versus perfection. The sources really highlight this. So many new asset owners get fixated on waiting for the perfect deal or the perfect timing. This desire for certainty is understandable, but it's financially fatal.
It's the fear of loss, isn't it? It's easy to say start and improve, but it's a lot harder when real money is on the line. How do the sources say we should handle that fear of taking an imperfect first step?
By reframing what failure is. Errors, mistakes, inaccuracies. They are not setbacks. They are an integral, necessary cost of tuition in building financial freedom.
I like that. Cost of tuition.
Think about it. If you wait for the perfect moment, the cost of the opportunity you lose far exceeds the cost of a small mistake you make early on.
You learn more from a $100 mistake in month 3 than you do from 5 years of research paralysis.
Exactly. It's cheap tuition for a lifetime skill. Which leads right into principle 2. Start and improve.
Get in motion.
Get in motion. The advice is simple. Don't wait for perfect market conditions. Don't wait until you know everything. Just start moving and improve while in motion. The main goal early on is momentum and gathering that real-world feedback.
It's like a navigation chart. You can plot the perfect course in the harbor, but the second you're out at sea, the wind, the currents, they demand constant course correction.
That's a perfect illustration of Principle 3. The dynamic plan. We have to stress this. The action plan is not a commitment to a specific, unchangeable outcome on a specific date.
It's a working hypothesis.
It's a working hypothesis, a living document that has to react to reality.
Okay.
You have to constantly examine the results you're getting against the objectives you set. If you consistently miss them, say your savings rate is 15% when the plan demands 25%, you don't abandon the vision.
You adjust the plan.
You must be prepared to correct and adjust the action plan itself.
So the goals are pretty fixed, but the path to get there, the action plan, that has to be flexible.
It has to be fluid.
Yeah.
This whole process keeps the system alive, adaptable. If you refuse to correct the plan based on real-world feedback, your plan just becomes a relic. It gets divorced from your actual reality, this constant review and correction.
Yeah.
That's the real work of the asset owner.
And this entire framework, it does something really profound. It creates intense clarity on the most vital question anyone on this path can ask. What do I do now?
Yes. It transforms that abstract, overwhelming long-term target into a small, clear first step you can take today. It converts a massive, multi-decade goal into an immediate, manageable task.
So the action plan really is the structure that converts that internal identity shift into external, measurable, consistent behavior. It's the final decision on how your capital gets deployed and, maybe more importantly, where your time will be spent.
And that intentional deployment, that discipline, that's what replaces hoping. We've laid out the framework, and now the hard work of execution begins.
Before we leave you to start that work, we do have to stress, as always, that this deep dive is strictly educational. It gives you a framework for structure, for execution, but it offers absolutely no guarantees of results, returns, or success. The full responsibility for execution and for the outcomes rests entirely with you, the listener.
It really all comes down to planning versus hoping, doesn't it? The difference between those who achieve freedom and those who stay dependent is, it's rarely luck. It's a consistent, intentional act of planning and executing.
So we'll leave you with this final provocative thought to take with you. You've defined your vision. Now look at your specific action plan. Choose one immediate, small, non-numerical action you can execute this week to officially move your plan from the idea phase to the reality phase.
And don't pick a task like invest money. Choose a foundational step. It could be blocking out 4 hours on your calendar this Sunday to do that full expense survey, or registering for that online course you defined in phase 2, or even just writing down your measurable objectives by hand for the very first time.
That one intentional executed step, that's where the true power of the plan resides. It's the moment the vision leaves your head and enters the world. Go execute.